What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Paul Talks Patriots on Dog TV. Well, I'm comparing good news this week. The Patriots got a Week 1 win in a major upset in Cincinnati against the Bengals. And boy, did they exceed my expectations. Let's get into it. Alright, well, the Patriots pulled out a 16-10 victory, and it was the biggest upset by the standards of Las Vegas since 2018. The Patriots were plus 7.5 and pulled out a win as a 2-possession underdog. Crazy stuff. I mean, the defense looked tremendous. You can't really look better than they did. Everyone came up to play. You could tell from the first snap of the game that they were fired up, they were ready to go, and they kept that momentum the whole way through the game, just balling out. The offense looked reliable, and hey, I mean, that's about as good as it's going to get, I think, this year. You know, not a lot of great plays, not a lot of highlight plays, although you got some from Ramondre Stevenson. The quarterback play was good, not great, but most importantly, it wasn't bad. They got the job done on offense, and that's what we need to do to succeed this season. They're not going to put up 24, 28 points a game. That's not how this team is going to work. What they're going to do is drive down the field, short plays, waste clock, and rely on the defense. Now, like I said, the defense came out firing. The Bengals started the game with 3 consecutive 3-and-outs. They didn't get a first down until 4.5 minutes into the second quarter. And on the offensive side, the Patriots, their longest play was 17 yards, and that happened twice. It was a Thornton catch and a Ramondre Stevenson run. Now to keep going with Ramondre, what a game. 25 rushes, 120 yards. That's a 4.8 yard average per carry if my maths, and a touchdown to add on to it. The only touchdown for the Patriots on the day. His 120 yards was 4th amongst running backs. 5th overall, Lamar Jackson scrambled for 2 more yards. He was just running all over the place on Thursday night. Really good game, by the way. But as far as the Patriots go, Ramondre is sitting 4th on the rushing yards list. And he'll keep it up. I'll get to that later. Jacoby Brissett, just, the stats aren't going to show it, but he played really good. I mean, the way that he ran around, he escaped the pocket, didn't get sacked, all but one time. All but once. And that was on a scramble where cornerback Jax Hill came up and made a tackle. Borderline targeting, if you saw that. He was in the midst of a slide, and Dax Hill led with his helmet and dove into Jacoby Brissett. But with that being said, Jacoby took a lot of shots during the game, and boy, did he not falter at all. He stayed in the pocket the whole game, and just one tough son of a gun. The whole game, played really good. His rushing, 7 rushes for 32 yards. Now, is this jaw-dropping? No. But is it a lot more than what I thought it would be? Oh yeah, 100%. As far as the passing goes, he really spread the love to all the receivers he was working with. He completed passes to 7 different receivers. And for all those people saying that Drake May should be our starting quarterback, Jacoby Brissett just really made a good argument to prove you all why he is the answer. This year, at least. In my opinion, I think we lose with Drake May in the game. The amount of plays that Jacoby made where Drake May could have had a big mistake, there was a decent amount. Jacoby didn't turn the ball over once. Drake May probably would have had at least one turnover, I would say. And that makes all the difference in the world in a game like this. And that's just a fact. Jacoby didn't force any plays. Drake, I don't know, he didn't really force too many throws in the preseason, but if you look back at college, he loved to play hero ball. I've said it before, and I can only assume he would do that, but it's a pretty fair assumption, I would say. Anyway, Jacoby's going to remain the quarterback until further notice, and he's going to get at least a couple more weeks to play. The offensive line let up 0 sacks. Like I mentioned, there was the 1 sack where Hill came up and made a play on Brissett. That was not due to the fault of the offensive line. Individually, Chooks, a core for terrible start. He was benched after 12 plays. Vidarian Lowe came in, and you know what? He didn't play all that bad, guys. Granted, it wasn't perfect. He wasn't no Trent Williams over there, but he held his ground against Trey Hendrickson, who is a top 10 edge rusher in the league. As far as the rookies go, Layden Robinson, he's just improved so much from the beginning of training camp until now, and was forced to start. Actually, no, not even forced to start. Started because they didn't want Lowe in the game, and he proved why he should be a starter, and he had a really good game. He's still going to get better. That's the crazy thing. It was his first game ever in the NFL. He's only going to improve, guys. It's, as of right now, it's looking like we got a good one in Layden Robinson. Caden Wallace was used as the 6th blocker in some sets, coming into the game as an eligible receiver, but was used in the run game a decent amount throughout the game. And he moved some bodies himself. Some really good plays by him as well. So the rookies played a big part in Ramondre Stevenson's big performance. Other than that, David Andrews is David Andrews. Of course, he had a good game. I think his age did show a little bit, but you know, he's David Andrews. He's always going to be reliable. Michael Jordan, didn't watch him too much. I was focused on the right side of the ball mostly. But from what I saw from him, he didn't do all that bad either. The question is, what's going to happen when Cole Strange comes back? Now, we're not going to have to worry about that for a little bit, but when it does happen, that's going to be a storyline we're going to need to follow. Mike Onwenu had a pretty good game. Wasn't great, in my opinion. I thought his pass blocking could have been a little bit better, but it's week 1, and he was playing right guard most of the preseason, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. We know what we have in Mike Onwenu, and time will tell if he can earn or live up to that contract he got in the offseason. I believe he can. I believe he will. And he was pretty good in this game. I'm not saying he was bad, but definitely some improvement that can be made by Onwenu. At the end of the day, he was reliable. Jacoby Brissett wasn't getting too much pressure from the right side, mostly from the left side, from Vidarian Lowe. But overall, this offensive line really exceeded my expectations in pass blocking. And in the run game, like I said last week, I liked what I saw from them in the preseason, and they proved it on Sunday. They're going to continue to do that, I think, for most of the season. But let's look at the defensive side of the ball. Keon White. Everyone was so upset that Matthew Judon was out in New England, and people were confused. Who's going to step up? Well, here's your answer. The 2nd round pick out of Georgia Tech from last year, Keon White, had a tremendous game, 2.5 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. That's 3rd in the NFL for sacks. And he was lining up all over the line of scrimmage for the defensive line. They were running stunts. This is something I also pointed out. The amount of stunts that became possible with Keion White getting inserted into the starting defensive line was crazy. He was lining up all the way outside in a 7 technique. He was lining up in front of the center in the middle of the defensive line. Guys, there's maybe 10 players in the NFL that can be as efficient in front of the center, as efficient as they are outside of the tackle. It wasn't a fluke performance, especially against former Patriot Trent Brown, who is not what he once was, but he's not a bad tackle, guys, and Keion White made him look like a fool. I will play devil's advocate with that, though. I'm sure Keion White went up against Trent Brown a bunch of times last year in practice, so he probably knew what to expect with Trent. He probably knew how to beat him. The best scouting report you can have is on a former player, which also probably played into a factor. Is Keion White going to put up 2.5 sacks every game? No. But we got a special player in Keion White, and I'm looking forward to seeing his performance throughout the year. Ja'Whaun Bentley, another guy, your captain on the defense, had a great game as well. 12 tackles, 7 solo tackles, and got in on a sack with Keion White, so he finished with half a sack. Really just great in the run game like he was last year, a thing that he improved on a lot since his rookie year. I used to not be a fan of Ja'Whaun Bentley, and now I like the guy a lot. I think he is your next Gerard Mayo, Dante Hightower, or Teddy Bruschi before them. He's next in line. I can't say he's an all-pro caliber player, but he's going to be Mr. Reliable in the middle of the field for the defense for years to come. And even a cool thing outside of the field is in the locker room, he took over that speech at the end of the game that Matthew Slater was doing for so long and brought a great energy to that too. You can tell the guys love Ja'Whaun Bentley in the locker room, and he is a great leader on and off the field for the Patriots. Really come into his own as a human, not even as a football player, but also as a human here. You'll love to see it. Outside of that, the whole cornerback group, defensive back group, I should say, played outstanding. Kyle Duggar made some great plays. Jabril Peppers made some great plays. Marcus Jones, Jonathan Jones made some good plays. But I have to talk about Christian Gonzalez. He went up against Jamar Chase, and this is per Field Yates. Christian Gonzalez covered Jamar Chase on 20 of his 28 routes yesterday. In those, he limited Chase to 3 catches for 14 yards in those plays. Guys, do you understand what we have here? Christian Gonzalez is a top 10 corner in the league, and that might be playing it safe. By the end of the year, we're going to be talking about Christian Gonzalez being on the all-pro teams. I'm not joking. He proved it last year in his games that he played. And yes, he struggled in the preseason. I was concerned about it. But he proved why he can still be one of the top elite cornerbacks in the NFL. I'll remind you, last year, this is from Evan Lazar, senior reporter for Patriots.com. Listen to this. Against Philly, in the first game of his NFL career, against A.J. Brown, 19 routes, 4 catches, 47 yards. Devontae Smith, the former Heisman winner and Pro Bowl wide receiver, 11 routes, 2 catches for 11 yards, and he had a pass breakup in there as well. Versus Miami, going against Tyreek Hill, the former Offensive Player of the Year, and one of the favorites to win it again this year, 17 routes, 0 catches on 2 targets, and we all remember that interception he had. It was awesome. Did Tua underthrow the ball? Yeah, he did. But either way, we're not going to talk about that. Gonzalez made a great play on the ball anyways. Against Jalen Waddle, another Pro Bowl caliber wide receiver for the Dolphins. 4 routes, 1 catch for 15 yards. Crazy stuff. And it's not even over there yet. Against the Jets last year, against Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers is #1 receiver, a stud first-round pick out of Ohio State who's torn up the league since he got in it. 23 routes, 3 catches, and 18 yards. No touchdowns against any of these guys. These are all Pro Bowl caliber, all pro caliber wide receivers that he is clamping up. And the funniest thing about it, too, is Christian Gonzalez was the 3rd cornerback taken in the draft. Who was first? Devon Witherspoon, who looks like a stud for the Seahawks. We'll get to him later, as that's who we're playing this upcoming week. Who was picked second? Emmanuel Forbes, who had a really bad rookie year and had a really promising preseason this year. What happened week 1 for Emmanuel Forbes? He got benched in the 2nd quarter against the Bucs for getting torched. Now, great pick by Bill Belichick to pick Christian Gonzalez, but he literally fell in our hands, guys, and we lucked out. I will say it. We lucked out getting Christian Gonzalez. This guy is special, and he's only going to get better as well. So young. Special teams. Now, this, besides, or not even besides, but other than the defense, this might be the most impressive group on the team from Sunday. Joey Sly, I said it. We're going to come out of this game with knowing we have reliable kicking. Joey Sly was 3 for 3 on field goals. Yes, they weren't 50 yards plus whatever. They were 32 yards, 35 yards, and 37 yards. But what was interesting to me was how he got these field goals. This was another thing I said we were going to do. Waste clock, own the time of possession battle. This is going to be a consistent thing we will do all year. On the first field goal he had, 12-play drive that wasted 5 minutes and 9 seconds. The second field goal, another 12-play drive that wasted 7 minutes and 24 seconds. And on the third field goal, stemming from another big play on special teams, the forced fumble by Captain Joe Cardona. What a great story he is. I'm sure you guys all know of it, but what a great play that led to points on the board. So props to Joey Sly, props to Joe Cardona, and lastly, props to Bryce Behringer. 5 punts for 250 yards. Again, if my maths, that's 50 yards per punt. That's pretty damn good. 3 of those punts landed inside the 20-yard line. Guys, special teams is going to be a vital role to this team the whole year, but also a very important, probably the most important role in winning next week. After commercial break, I'm going to get into how we can beat the Seahawks and why special teams will be so important. This is Paul Talks Patriots on Dog TV.
Malo is my French bulldog. He made my heart bigger when he came in my life. He never really liked his food. He wouldn't eat till like 10 o'clock at night. To me, it was saying, oh, I guess I don't want to starve. He was having skin breakouts, and putting the 2 and 2 together, what you put into your body is what you get out. I know that if I'm eating a bunch of processed food, I'm not going to feel good. That kind of led me to Farmer's Dog. Immediately, his skin issues went away. I love what they're doing. It's already portioned out. He's eating whole foods. It's amazing.
On the College Football Dogs website, you'll find a main page that features some of our biggest and newest stories. Our conference pages for content related to your favorite team's conference. Our team store, where we have products that are available all year long, as well as gear available for a limited time only. Our podcast page, where you can see when one of the 12 plus College Football Dogs podcasts is streaming live on social media. Our subscription page, where you can join our Discord. If you're interested in becoming a contributor at College Football Dogs, email us at info@collegefootballdogs.com. If you enjoy any College Football Dogs content, we really do appreciate any donations you can make by visiting the donate page on our website or scanning the QR code here.
College Football Dogs, for the fans.
All right, guys, welcome back to Paul Talks Patriots on Dog TV. Thank you for sticking around. Let's get into the matchup. This weekend, we have the Seahawks coming to Foxborough, slated for 1 p.m. Now, the Seahawks are coming off a win themselves, but as pretty heavy favorites, close to the line that the Bengals had over us last weekend. The Broncos, not that good of a team, honestly. They were going against Bo Nix, rookie quarterback, and you know what? He just wasn't that good. His final stat line, 26 for 42, 138 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. I wasn't really that high on Bo Nix as an NFL quarterback. I think he'll have a decent career. He could get to I don't even know who to compare him to off the top of my head, but he's never going to wow anyone. He's never going to be an MVP candidate. He can be a reliable player, maybe like the caliber of a Derek Carr. He'll probably get overpaid at one point in his career, just like Derek Carr, because he can lead a reliable offense. But other than that, not too impressive of a player. Kenneth Walker had a really good game. He rushed for over 100 yards. And along with that, Tyler Lockett had a really good game. I believe he finished 6 receptions for 77 yards in the game. And outside of that, DK Metcalf and Jackson Smith and Jigba, who was supposed to take a big step up this year for the Seahawks, they didn't really live up to their expectations. Special teams, what I wanted to get into. Special teams for the Seahawks-Broncos game. Riley Dixon, the Broncos punter, punted 8 times, which is just never a good thing. But he had a really good game. He downed 4 punts inside of the 20-yard line. Now, why does this matter for us? Well, Bryce Behringer is one of the best punters in the league. And listen to what happened when Dixon pinned them within the 20-yard line. A turnover that led to a Broncos touchdown. Dixon, one of his punts, was down at the 1-yard line. What was that turned into? A safety for the Broncos. The third punt he had for the Broncos turned into a Seahawks 3-and-out. The fourth one, the Seahawks managed to get 1 first down before they ended up having to punt. The key here, pin the Seahawks back. This is going to be a huge key in our game. Bryce Behringer needs to have a really good game again, and he's more than capable of doing it. He is, again, one of the best punters in the league, but Bryce Behringer will need to pin the Seahawks back within their own 20-yard line because their offense falls apart when it is. Other than that, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think the Patriots have more talent than the Broncos. Like I said, Nix had a very mid game. And Jacoby Brissett, you look at his stats, they're better than Bo Nix. And what sticks out to me the most is Nix's 2 interceptions. Jacoby Brissett, again, did not turn the ball over last week. And you can rely on him to not turn the ball over again. He would rather throw the ball away or take a hit than force a pass into double coverage or something of the sort. You can rely on Jacoby Brissett to take care of the football. We might have to punt, but again, it's better punting and pinning the Seahawks back than turning over the football and having the Seahawks start on our side of the field. On top of that, the Broncos running backs, Javonte Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin, combined average 2.8 yards per carry. That is terrible. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. That is terrible. Ramondre Stevenson, coming off his big performance, is going to blow those stats out of the water. Their top 3 receivers on the Broncos. Courtland Sutton, above average receiver. You got to give him his flowers. He's been pretty good for a while now. Outside of that, Josh Reynolds, the definition of average for his whole career. And then Devon Vele, a 2024 7th round pick, who is their 3rd string wide receiver. Now, is our wide receiver core anything to brag about? Hell no, but it's a whole lot better than that. Our 3rd string wide receiver is not a 7th round pick rookie. On defense, they have Pat Surtain, one of the best cornerbacks in the league. But outside of that, it's just a bunch of average. Shout out to Pat Surtain, though, for resetting the cornerback market. He just got a deal for $26 million a year. Good for him. But again, our cornerback group is better than theirs, depth-wise, by a lot. Our whole defense is better than theirs. Our quarterback play, the talent at quarterback between our starters, I'll give it to the Broncos. But performance-wise, Nick's just isn't ready to lead an offense like Jacoby Brissett is. Our wide receivers are better. Our running backs are better. Our offensive line, I'll stop there. Outside of that, what game plan are we going to use against the Broncos? Well, Andrew Callahan of the Boston Herald tweeted out this Gerard Mayo quote that's been going a little viral. He said, Gerard Mayo said, per Andrew Callahan, we will always offensively run first, be a run first team. And you gotta stop it. And if you do, then we have the answers to that. It's not a secret. Is that obvious? Yes. Gerard Mayo is not incorrect in saying it's not a secret. But Gerard, you just gave them the answers to the test. At least make them watch film, put a little effort into it before they come to that conclusion. Would they have eventually? Yes. But, make them go through the film and look at it before saying that. Anyway, he's not wrong. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter that he said it. But I wish he just kept his mouth shut sometimes. Didn't say as much. With this being said, the Seahawks are going to key in on the run. Now, last year, they ranked 2nd to last in rush defense. On top of that, linebacker Uchenna Nwosu. Jeez. Tough names to pronounce these days in the NFL. He missed the final 11 games. When he was playing, their rush defense was allowing 79 rush yards per game. After he sat out the last 11 games, their defense went to 170 yards per game. Well, guess who's not playing this week? I'm not going to say his name again or attempt it, but that guy. So, you're dealing with a defense that let up a decent amount of rush yards and is notorious for the rush defense. Now, they did help out in this aspect of their defense. They drafted Byron Murphy with the 16th overall pick, defensive tackle, who is really good against the rush, or at least he was in college. They signed defensive tackle Jonathan Hankins, also known for his run stopping, not much of a pass rusher, known for his run stopping. They signed linebacker Tyrell Dodson, who, again, not much of a pass coverage guy, more of a run stopper. At the end of the day, they let up 99 rush yards against the Broncos, which was 12th in the league last week. And I already read you guys the stats. The Broncos running backs did not perform well. So, again, I think Ramondre goes for 100-plus rush yards again. And, like Gerard Mayo said, we're going to be a run-first team. You can expect Ramondre to get 20, 25-plus carries in this game. With that being said, the Seahawks do have a better pass defense than the Bengals. They signed Jerome Baker from the Dolphins, who is basically like a linebacker safety hybrid, really good in pass coverage and a good ball hawk as a linebacker. Outside of that, they have Reek Woolen, they have Julian Love, they have Trey Brown, and they have Devon Witherspoon, who I mentioned earlier, that first cornerback taken in last year's draft ahead of Christian Gonzalez. These guys make up one of the best defensive back groups in the league. So, passing is going to be tough. But what can we do? There's ways around it. First, I want to look at the Seahawks offense, which is also well-rounded. Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet last week, 28 carries for 115 yards. Pretty damn good. Tyler Lockett, like I said, 6 receptions for 77 yards. But JSN and Metcalf didn't do too much. I don't think they're going to have a bounce-back performance against our secondary, but they are still guys you definitely need to worry about. DK Metcalf has proven he is a great deep threat in the NFL. Jackson Smith-Njigba was a highly touted wide receiver out of Ohio State in last year's draft and high-caliber player. Tyler Lockett's proven he's been good for about the past decade or so. Guys you need to worry about. What are the keys to winning this game? Well, the Patriots need to score on the first drive, in my opinion. At least get points on the board, even if it's a field goal. Make the Seahawks play from behind. If they are able to continue to be a rush-heavy offense, then it'll work. But that only happens in close games. You get behind by 2 possessions late in the game, you can't run the ball as much. You got to rely on your pass more. With that being said, the Patriots need to be a little bit more aggressive on play calling. I told you Alex Van Pelt was going to be conservative, but he was ultra conservative in their efforts against the Bengals. And yeah, it worked, but like I said, the Seahawks have a better defense. Look for more play action. Look for Jalen Polk and Tyreek Thornton to take on a bigger role, especially Polk, who in the film against the Bengals was open downfield and wasn't targeted from Brissett. We're going to need to take some of those shots, I think, this weekend. Outside of that, Antonio Gibson did not do anything against the Bengals. He needs to be more involved. His specialty is in the pass game. Get some screens to him, get some short routes going. That's how you open up a defense, and when they account for that, you take a shot downfield. I'm looking for him to have a big game. Antonio Gibson is going to play a bigger role and have a good game for the Patriots. Outside of that, Ramondre will continue his stellar effort from week 1, carrying it in to week 2. I see Ramondre going for over 100 yards again, and he can probably throw in a touchdown. Vegas has this game at the over-under of 38 points and a spread of 3 points. I'm hammering the under and Patriots money line like I did last week. I got a final score of 20-17. Patriots pulling out another upset victory. That's all I've got for this week, guys. Please, let me know what you think about the show. Leave a like, a comment, and please subscribe if you can. Hit that follow button. On other platforms, you can find me at Paul Talks Pats on X and Paul Talks Patriots on all other platforms. Peace, y'all.